Hi, and welcome to another random talk. This week I wanted to talk about nightmares, um, mainly because it's something most of us experience. Some experience it due to anxiety, stress, trauma, fever, medicine, alcohol, or some withdrawal. Um, and I just wanted to talk about it because I used to suffer from nightmares every night. From childhood, I just always had nightmares, and I had to actually seek help for it. And I went to a therapist and stuff, and they put me on anti-anxiety and sleeping pills to make me sleep because it was so bad that um, I could be up for 2 or 3 days without sleeping until I fell asleep by myself because I couldn't be up anymore. I was just too exhausted. Um, because I knew that if I fell asleep, I was gonna have a nightmare, and that probably made it even more triggering to get a nightmare. But um, these medicines they gave me, they actually made my nightmares so much worse. I I had to stop with them because I would wake up um almost throwing up or feeling like I had to throw up because my nightmares were getting so bad that I couldn't deal with them. So I had to stop with the medicine and try to deal with my nightmares some other way. And I remember one of my dreams so clearly because it was me and my younger sister. We were in the little community we grew up in the north, and we were chased for some reason. I don't know why, but we ran, and as we were running in the forest, we lost each other. And when I finally found her, she was in this shed, and her arms and legs were tied up, and she had her arms above her head so that she was in an upright position. Um, and these people were cutting her stomach open and taking out her organs and insides, and she was screaming and crying and just begging for help and begging them to kill her because of the pain. And I couldn't do anything. I couldn't help her. I was just standing outside seeing the whole thing. And well, that night I actually woke up throwing up uh, because it was so sick, and I actually thought that it was something extremely wrong with me to have these kind of sick dreams that was just so extreme. Um, I also remember a few years after I stopped with the medicine, um, my nightmares got better. I didn't have them every day, just occasionally, a few times a month maybe. And I was living with my boyfriend at that time, and it was the night before Christmas, and I had stood up and threw myself from the bed, screaming and crying. And I woke up on impact, so when I hit the floor, I was half still in my dream and still half awake, and I just crawled backwards until I hit the door, and I couldn't control myself. I was just screaming and crying, and it took me a while before I really woke up because it was so terrifying, and my boyfriend was freaking out because he had woken up by my screams and just seen me flew across the room, um, and he couldn't like make contact with me. I was just out of it, and that night I didn't go back to sleep. I couldn't stop crying, and it was it was really bad because I thought I had a handle on my nightmares by then, but and then suddenly for it to be so intense, and I don't remember the dream at all. I just remember the feeling. The it was the most terrifying thing, and I just wanted to talk about it because I think there's a lot of people out there that suffers from nightmares, and I mean there's not so much to do except for working with yourself and try to reduce the stress and anxiety in your life, which can be pretty hard. But a person should never feel like there's something wrong with them because of them having these bad nightmares, because it's not th- there's nothing wrong with you. It's your mind's way of working through the shit that you haven't dealt with when you're awake. So I think if you try to deal with the stuff that you probably don't want to deal with, but doing that while you're awake, it will make you sleep better and not suffer from nightmares as much. And yeah, that was all I wanted to say this week. And thank you and good night.